Clause is £30 million because Ipswich have been relegated. At the moment, what we are hearing this afternoon is that Manchester United are in pole position to sign him. One source has gone as far as telling us that he believes that the deal is very close and the player would be happy to move to Manchester United. Even though United aren't having a great season, he still feels that they're a big club. We've heard something similar as well from Matheus Cunha, the Wolves forward, who may well be moving to United as well. I know, looking from the outside in, people may think United are not doing very well. Why would players want to move there? But you've got to remember, Manchester United is still one of the biggest clubs in the world, and a lot of players want to play for them. Although obviously the top players have other options as well. But look, lots of clubs are interested in signing Liam Delap. Clubs like Chelsea, potentially Nottingham Forest as well, would be interested in him. But I think it's interesting that United at the moment are in pole position, and we believe that he would be happy to move there. Although I think maybe we should wait and see what happens in the Europa final next week, because obviously if
that money coming in, possibly Champions League.
Well, I think United would be able to pay his release clause anyway. Right. It's £30 million, which in the grand scheme of things, for top clubs, even in the PSR era, even if you're not in the Champions League, United would be able to afford that. But I think from a player's perspective, maybe it would be wiser to wait and see over the next few days to see, for instance, a Chelsea going to be in the Champions League, and Manchester United going to be in the Champions League. But I think regardless of that, I get the feeling that the player would be up for moving to United, even if they were not to make the Champions League. The latest information we have is that they do not have just one target.
Okay.
I know there's been lots of talk about the fact that their new sporting director, Andrea Berta, wants Viktor Gyökeres, prolific Sporting Lisbon striker. He's got an extremely impressive scoring record in the Portuguese league, and there have been lots of reports that Berta wants Gyökeres, and he's told Mikel Arteta, this is the striker we need to sign. Now, my information is that they haven't yet narrowed it down to one name, which means that somebody like RB Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko is still very much on their radar as well. But what I can tell you is that Mikel Arteta will be seriously backed in the transfer market this summer. He will have at least £100 million to spend, plus any funds that are raised from selling players. It's important to stress that Arsenal, I think, are in a very healthy position financially. They've got no PSR issues. They realise, obviously, that finishing second is not good enough for their fans. They want to back Mikel Arteta so they can win a major trophy next season. That is why I'm convinced they'll be signing a striker this summer. They're very confident as well of signing Martin Zubimendi from Real Sociedad. He's a player who Bayern Munich have tried to sign, Liverpool have tried to sign. I am sure that he will become an Arsenal player. They will trigger his release clause, €60 million at the end of the season. So make no mistake, this is going to be a big summer for Arsenal and Mikel Arteta. He said it himself a couple of weeks ago that this will be a big summer for them in the transfer market. So I know there's lots of Arsenal fans out there putting pressure on the club to spend big this summer. I'm not saying that Arsenal are going to go crazy. They're not just going to throw their money around. They will still be careful, but Mikel Arteta will be backed at least £100 million. I wouldn't be surprised if you take into account the players who could be leaving if their final outlay wasn't close to £200 million. And you have to bear in mind, you're not paying that all at once.
No, I suppose.
You know, I don't want to become an accountant and start talking about, you know, how players are paid for,
yes,
but it's done over the terms of their contract. So it's not as if they need to put all the money down on the table. But I think Arsenal, at least £100 million, maybe even closer to £200 million. So potentially good news for Arsenal fans.
Let's talk about Manchester United. What have you made of this season so far?
It's a disaster. Emery do it. So I love his honesty, and you know, he was like, I said, welcome to our club. He said, no, Patrice, I mean your club, like spend more time with us, because you know, I want to really to succeed. I know inside Amorim and the player, you know, United, you got the DNA to win trophy. But we won't call it like we had an amazing season. We will say like if we won, we say.
United can then save their season if they win the Europa League, because we know there's around 100 million up for grabs, and that place in the Champions League, despite the fact United probably aren't in a position to win it right now, but that could prove absolutely vital when it comes to this summer, potentially attracting players again as well.
Definitely, I think. I will say these things where we can qualify for the Champions League. So I don't understand why people are jealous and criticize, because we're watching the Europa League because of that. So good luck for both teams, but come on, United.
It's been a roller coaster watching United in the Europa League this season, not to mention the second leg against Lyon, where it felt like it was all over, but United now have the opportunity to do something special.
It's United, like you say. What a great game. What a great game. And that's why United can have a tough season, and even with Ten Hag, but we still win trophy. And it's no many team can do that, you know. So that's why now this is the biggest chance, the biggest opportunity. Please, guys, make it happen, because this will put like in the right direction the club for the next year, because also Amorim is just his first year. So make sure he's win a trophy for this year, but also he get qualified for the Champions League.
Have you seen enough from Ruben Amorim in terms of the small improvements he's made? Clearly he's trying to implement a whole new system at United, that this will be a success. I think all realistic Manchester United fans know that this will be a long process to get the team back to when you were at Manchester United.
No, but exactly. But it's a process. It's a process. And, you know, it's his first year. I see a lot of improvement. Discipline. I mean, like, the player don't want to run, or doesn't want to, like, you know, die for the badge. He won't play for Man United. And he bring, like, few players, but they need to adapt. We always give, like, even myself and Vidic, when we arrived, we had 6 months to adapt. So next year, it won't be an excuse, but it will be good if we play the Champions League for next year, because he's going to attract more players. Maybe the player he wanted from the beginning of the season, he couldn't get them. So this is a crucial moment, I think, for the history of the club, because we need to start now. And losing the Europa League, not playing the Champions League, will be tough. And maybe we will be focused on the league, trying to win the league again. But, you know, I'm not living in a dream. Let's see what's going to happen. Let's focus just on the final.
Just looking ahead briefly to next season, what do you think Amorim should realistically be looking at? Is it now a top 10 finish, or next season do United need to be qualifying for Europe, whether it's top 7, top 8?
It's tough. I think what he's looking for next season is to have a competitive team. You know, we need more defender. We need a proper striker. Maybe some midfield to support Bruno, because I heard in Saudi, you know, they offer a lot of money to get Bruno. I think it will be a mistake to let him go. People talk about his age, 30. No, he's the most important player in the team. I think if Bruno wasn't there, maybe we wouldn't be even in the final of the Europa League. So,
or potentially relegated from the Premier League,
yeah,
maybe.
You know, I'm not afraid and ashamed to say that. This could have been possible. But now we are in this final. Make sure next year, you know, we get the right player to be competitive, because we have to forget this season.
Lenny Yoro is a player who took some time to adapt, like you did at Manchester United, but probably put in his best performance against Athletic Club on Thursday. Let's hope the injury he picked up on Sunday isn't too much of a concern, but how impressive have you been by the way he's taken to being at a club like Manchester United?
You know, I think Lenny have not other choice to succeed, because French player, they succeed at United. I remember when I win my first Premier League, I was with the French flag, and it was the picture of Eric Cantona, the king. And when I saw him, I say, thank you for opening the door to all the French players. He said, Patrice, thank you, because I think like that door, you smash it. So this was one of the biggest compliments. But yeah, you have is a history with the French player playing for Man United. But like I say, he's young. He's got a lot of quality. He needs to adapt. At the beginning, you know, he's normal. He will make some mistake. Now he played an amazing game against Atletico. But he needs to keep going. I hope he's going to be ready for the final. Play another amazing game. And of course, get his hand of his first trophy. Because that's what it's all about. I remember even my first difficult 6 months. After 3 months, with Man United, I won my first trophy, the Carling Cup in Cardiff. And I remember I get in the bus, and I was to the boss Ferguson. Oh, it's so easy to play for Man United. After 3 months, you already get a trophy. So that's what I wish for Lenny.
And you've beaten Tottenham in a final as well. That happened in 2009. Tottenham have waited a long time to win a trophy. Manchester United, despite the fact they've had a difficult few seasons, they have won trophies in the past 2 years. So in terms of that game itself, despite the fact United have lost 3 times to Spurs this season, that experience of being in finals, winning finals so recently, could that be an important factor?
It's an important factor. Let's be behind them, and we won't be surprised if we win, because that's our duty. That's when you sign for Man United. It's all about winning trophy. Of course, it's with the style of play. The style of play is not ready yet, but at least get your hand in the trophy.
Pole position to sign Blues striker Liam Delap in the summer. Delap, 22, has a relegation release clause in the contract he signed after joining the Blues for an initial $15 million from Manchester City in July last year, which means he can depart Portman Road for $30 million in the close season. Chelsea and United were among the first to make their interest in the England U21 international known, but with Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, Newcastle United, Everton and Nottingham Forest all now having joined them as decision time approaches. According to Sky Sports, Delap would be happy to join the Red Devils this summer, with Champions League qualification via a Europa League win potentially giving their case a boost when he ultimately makes his choice. We understand there are indeed some in Delap's camp who favour a move to United. However, the player himself is still open-minded on his destination, but with an exit from town all but certain. Delap has scored 12 goals for the Blues this season, his first Premier League campaign. Ipswich Town star Liam Delap is leaning towards a switch to Manchester United over Chelsea. United and the Blues are looking set to trigger Delap's $30 million release clause this summer. According to TalkSport, though, the striker would be more keen to move to Old Trafford. That is after he left Man Ud's rivals Manchester City last summer. Manchester United have opened talks with Bournemouth star Antoine Semenyo over a potential transfer. United are gearing up for a big summer as they try and fix the holes in their struggling squad after their worst ever Premier League season. And according to TalkSport, that could include bringing in Semenyo in the summer transfer window. The same source claims the Winer has already held talks with Man United XX over a move in the summer.